the 6th-ranked and unbeaten Auburn Tigers. Now, live from Jordan-Hare Stadium, WAFF 48 Sports brings you the showdown in Tiger Town.
And welcome live to Jordan-Hare Stadium here on the loveliest village on the plains. When last we spoke with you, I guess last night, it was a calm setting here. Nobody here, and everybody's pretty much vamoosed. They're out of here now, all 85,000, but what happened in between is, I would say, pretty significant, right, Darryl?
I'll tell you, Mark, this may be the most thrilling football game I've ever been a part of in my life, maybe ever seen. It was something to watch. The crowd was electrifying. You could feel it in the air. I tell you, to quote my grandfather, you could cut it with a knife, maybe burn it with a cigar. And I'll tell you, I see some of these Auburn people walking around here with cigars in their mouths. They got a lot to celebrate. They just turned the scoreboard off, and we show it to you. 22-14, of course, the final. Auburn, the winner, they are 11-0. And, Mark, you know, they're getting rings.
Getting rings, exactly. And saying the best team of the SEC, they can back up that claim now. That one's still on. That scoreboard's still on, by the way. I think it's etched in the minds of Auburn fans, so no trouble forgetting that 22-14 final score as they break Alabama's 3-game winning streak here in the state. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check out game highlights from this great one here, 22-14. We're looking early on. Let's check Stan White, sacked there by Mr.
Andre Royal. Andre Royal had a pretty good ball game for Alabama. Then Scott Etheridge is going to get the first points on the board for Auburn. Auburn took an early 3-0 lead, Mark, and I'll tell you, Alabama finally got on track, though.
This one kind of got the crowd quiet. I got to admit, it came out of nowhere. Jet rocket speed Kevin Lee, there he's gone. I mean, you could see that one developing a long way off. That put Alabama up 7-3, and that was big at the moment. But not too long later, Jay Barker gets trapped in the end zone. Kind of looked confused, didn't know where he was on the field, but he goes down, cuts it to 7-5, kind of a baseball-like score at that point.
But then all of a sudden, Alabama comes right back. Again, it's going to be the big play. Jay Barker going over the middle again to Kevin Lee, and this is going to set up their next score. That puts him on the 19-yard line. Chris Anderson, the homeboy, of course, going to hit the left seam, and he goes in untouched, 19 yards for the score. Alabama looking pretty dominant going into the locker room, 14-5 at the half.
Big play here. That's Stan White going down with a knee injury. It looked bleak at that point, but first play in, Patrick Nix, can you believe this? Touchdown pass to Frank Sanders, puts the move, gets in. The understudy comes through with pretty speedy returns there, and that is Etheridge with another field goal. What are we seeing here, Darryl?
That's Alabama. That's Jay Barker on the 4th and 18 there with about 2:32 to play in the fourth quarter. That's Dale McGee picking off the ball. Auburn gets the ball right back. Very next play.
Play.
But James Bostic got to go 70 yards again, turning on the Jets. He takes it in, and I'll tell you, that's pretty much all she wrote from there.
22-14, Barker down.
Out for the year.
Out for the year. You see Pat Dye and Terry Bowden embracing.
Can you rebound?
Oh, definitely. We have to come back in 2 weeks to play Florida, and we're going to rebound. You know, it's a tough situation. You know, we had a couple of players hurt, but, you know, we'll regroup.
You know, it looks like you're the man now. From what we hear, Jay's out for the season.
Right. You know, I've got to go out there, you know, and I've got to make the best decision for the team, work harder, you know, and I've got to take control.
Well, it's really tough to swallow. You know, we want to come in here and win the game, but things didn't work out our way. We didn't make the plays. We needed to make the plays. That's the bottom line, you know. And I just want to take my hat off to Auburn. They played a hard-fought game. I think we played hard, too, just in make the play. They made the plays. We didn't.
Obviously, it's the biggest thing I've ever been a part of this season. And this game. The game went exactly like I wanted it to go and hoped it would go, but thought it wasn't going to go. We played conservative. I was hoping that we would play conservative. I felt like with their outstanding coaching staff and their defensive scheme that we would make a mistake, get ourselves in trouble early. So I was going to be conservative, try to keep it very close and get into the fourth quarter.
You know, it's great to be a part of 11. I mean, what can you say, 11-0, and you know, I'll tell you one thing, and you can quote me. If at the end of all the bowl games and everything, if we are the only unbeaten team in the nation, untied, unbeaten, anything, we deserve a chance to be a shot at being the national champions.
We went in basically the second half 0-0 in our own mind, but we couldn't overcome the penalties. Every time we did something, I'm telling you, we were penalized, and it's hard to overcome that.
It's a storybook finish to a great season, and it's you know, Terry and the staff and the players deserve it. They deserve this. What they've been put through the last few years, they had no control over, and it's been, I mean, and you know, sometimes justice is done. This is justice.
And Mark, I'll tell you, Coach Dye, I promise you, he had a tear in his eye for these boys because, you know, this is basically, it's still his team. Yeah. You know, he's probably been the biggest Auburn fan in these seats for every ball game. Right. You know, he's still got the farm in Reeltown. He's working across the campus. He was elated. I've never seen him like that in all my time in Alabama.
Players came back onto the field, too, and it was a touching moment, just saying thank you for all they've done, and they certainly had a major impact here today, just like in '89. Not much to cheer about in the first half, but in that second half, man, they got in the ball game, and they got in a hurry, and it did make a difference. The players, the coaches all came out to acknowledge the fans. That was a great move on their part. I mean, we've seen ourselves one whale of a ball game. I picked Auburn. What was my prediction last night?
I remember correctly, Mark. Your pick was Auburn 20-16.
I was close.
You were very close.
See, if I had been wrong, you'd have never heard me say that. But
I would have. I promise. I can promise you.
We got some Auburn fans here, pretty happy with that. The outcome, happy with the prediction too. We're going to go ahead and kick to a break. I've got a man's hat, a certain man's hat here named Andy Fuller. You remember him, former Johnson High standout in Huntsville, now Tigers starting tight end. We're going to talk with Andy live here in just a second as our live show from Jordan-Hare Showdown in Tigertown rolls on. Come back with us. Live here at Jordan-Hare Stadium, Showdown in Tigertown rolls on. Our live post-game show here, 22-14 Auburn. In case you have, I don't know, been in a cave here for the last few hours, in case you haven't heard yet, 22-14 Auburn. We're joined in the background here. You can see them, some Auburn fans. Just a few folks happy enough to hang around. They're not cold a bit. They're still warmed up by this big win. Also, I talked to you about this Auburn cap. Well, it belongs to this guy right here. We've traded up with him, Andy Fuller. Auburn tight end, former Johnson Jag, has our 48 cap on. We may swap. What do you think? I don't know if this fits me. Great game. Magnificent way to end the season. You couldn't have written it any better. Storybook, right?
Yes, we went in at halftime losing, and everybody was saying we've been down before, like the Florida. We just wanted to go out there. So second half, go out there and play ball like we did against Florida. We can have an undefeated season. So that was the main thing, to have an undefeated season and also beat Alabama.
So much it seemed to prove to people all year long. Everybody was saying, well, you've done it, but you haven't done it yet. You've done it, but, I mean, did you feel that the entire way?
Yes, we feel like people weren't giving us the respect that we rightfully deserve because, like Georgia, we was 1 point underdog, and then probably coming in today, we only was 1 point favorite. So I think we had to go out there and prove something to other people, so get everybody off our back.
Today, Stan goes down. And it's like you were out of a catapult all of a sudden. Instead of the team bogging down at that point, you pick it up a level with Patrick.
The players knew that if Stan went down, we also had Patrick there. And Patrick's been practicing real well all this week. And all he wanted to do was get a chance to get in the Iron Bowl and do something. And he did that. He stepped forward. It led us to a victory.
You know, what about Stan? Do you know a condition on Stan yet? How's he going to be? I saw him standing up in the post-game interviews.
I really don't know how Stan is. I really hadn't talked to him yet. But when I get back to the dorm, I'm going to check on see how he's doing.
You know, you guys talk like you have a lot of faith in Patrick. Do you really?
Yes, because a team is not a team if you don't have faith in the second-string quarterback. And we have faith in all our players on the team. And Pat just came in and did what he had to do.
Talk about this week a little bit. I was down here Tuesday visiting with you guys. You seemed loose, but at the same time, the intensity was there. Was there a lot of pressure on this team this week? Did you feel pressure, even though Coach Bowden was saying he didn't?
I say we can probably feel a little pressure during the week, but we were stressing everybody just stay loose and calm, and everything would work out Saturday. We just be loose and calm during the week, had good practice, but the intensity level was up, and that's what we needed to come in Saturday.
Now, I've got to ask you about these rings. What do these rings look like?
We really don't know yet, but they're going to look sweet on my hand.
Well, I'll tell you, thanks, Andy, for joining us. Of course, Mark, I'll tell you, the electricity's still here in the air. You can feel it.
I tell you it is. Andy, you go get yourself warm. Although you say you're not all that cold. I guess this adrenaline's still going. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right,
thank you very much. Let's somebody come on in here. How about a volunteer? You guys happy folks. Tell me about this game. Were you worried at all?
Not at all. Not from the very beginning.
He's a liar.
I never gave up. Not once.
No point. When you were down 14-5, did you say, I mean, it's over? And how about when Stan White goes down third quarter and it looks pretty bleak?
We were going to tear him up when that happened.
Did you?
It was over when that happened.
That was all part of it.
This is Auburn.
Tell me what sort of a season this has been for you.
This has been awesome.
Unbelievable.
I've been out 5 years now, and this is the best season I have ever seen. And I'm so proud of these guys. Yeah. I just love them.
I'll tell you what, Mark, Jim, I want you to widen out for me. Get just as Jim Heinrich, our cameraman, I'm asking him to widen out so we can get the whole group in here. Guys, look, put your hands down for a second. I want to ask you, back in January when they hired Terry Bowden, how many of you were shocked?
I did. No.
Happy.
No.
All right, now what about now? What about now? What do you think of Terry Bowden?
Yes, we're ecstatic. We're so glad to have Terry.
Then, and I'll say it now,
I was glad that they hired him because he would be hungry. He would be hungry if they Snellenberger somebody. He didn't figure he had to work as hard.
He had a great coaching record at the smaller schools. I mean, he just stepped right on up and did the job.
Definitely.
Great.
And we are the best team in the country right now.
Yeah.
Number one, nobody can prove it.
I mean, if somebody deserves it.
I know everybody's pulling for West Virginia, aren't you?
Yes,
I think so. We don't have a score on that game right now, but from what I understand, I think West Virginia, is it over?
It's official. West Virginia won.
Okay, so let's kind of put this into perspective. West Virginia knocks off Miami. The Notre Dame outcome was what?
39th play of the game, they lost.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
God loves Auburn. So what happens now?
You know, that's a good question, Mark. Everybody's been saying all year, you know, that Auburn, and even Terry Bowden kind of alluded to the fact that he didn't feel that the team deserved to be number one simply because of the probation. But hey, it's all up to the pollsters now.
I tell you what, the team has done their part on the field. We're going to take a break now, Showdown in Tigertown. When we come back, we're going to join Kim Garris, who spent the day in Tuscaloosa today, viewing this game from a different perspective. Back in just a second, live from Jordan-Hare. The Auburn Tigers come out on top here in the the Iron Bowl knot. I guess, is that the way you can say it? We're not, no Iron Bowl involved here.
To quote David Housel, they haven't made iron in Auburn in 238 years.
He told me, ain't no iron around here, boys, what he told me. So get that straight. Again, you talk about the impact or the interest generated by this game. Look at the numbers. We had, what, 85,200 some odd here in the stadium. We're told like 20,000?
That was a radio guesstimate.
Outside
the
stadium. Some 20,000 outside the stadium who could not get in. And then you've got another stadium sold out, as the case may be, over in Tuscaloosa with that closed-circuit telecast of 45,000 seats. Of course, that sold out in like 4 hours. Yeah. So not too many games can generate that sort of hoopla. And I guess everybody got their money's worth today, right?
Guaranteed. Guaranteed both outside and in.
All right, now we're going to go back to Huntsville. Kim Garris, we mentioned Tuscaloosa, was there today. Kim, what was it like?
Well, Mark and Darrell, as usual, the Alabama-Auburn matchup adds pages to the history book. This time, the fans making history. The 47,000-plus crowd in Tuscaloosa marks the largest off-site ever broadcast. Now, let me tell you, it was a great place to watch the game. It's another ball game Saturday in T-Town for Valley fans.
You have to have your better than sex cake, which opinions are varied on that today.
Need two. Anybody got any?
Two of these? Okay.
Bring a game day. Excuse me.
All right. But this is the Alabama-Auburn matchup. It's not supposed to be in Tuscaloosa.
It's another beautiful Saturday afternoon for a ball game. I'm ready, the fans are ready, but where's the team? Oh, there they are!
Welcome to football in the 90s. The teams in Tuscaloosa and Auburn, thanks to technology called Jumbotron. Watching the game on TV isn't unusual for fans, but like this it is.
No cheerleaders, but we're making it.
Feels like you're at the game, but it's pretty weird.
It sounds like a real game, too. And even though one side was outnumbered, the fight for bragging rights continued.
One of you is going to walk away a loser today. What are you going to do?
It's him. He can't drive.
It's a long walk.
It's a long walk.
Here's one time progress doesn't get in the way of tradition.
On the back of it, we put I Saw It on the big screen, Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Now that was Valley fans taking advantage of that lady selling t-shirts was from Decatur, and I tell you, she was making a killing today, 15 bucks a pop for those shirts. Valley fans all over the place, and you know, Mark and Darrell, you were talking about 20,000 folks standing outside of the stadium there in Auburn. Same thing true in Alabama today, in Tuscaloosa, and it sounded just like the real game from outside.
Kim, I want to know how many Auburn fans were in Tuscaloosa watching the game over there?
Let's see, probably, gee,
Did you count
them? This many in my hand right here, yeah, a handful. But they were making a lot of noise, as you can imagine.
I bet they were. That's curious, an Auburn fan to go to Tuscaloosa to see a game in Auburn. That's kind of bizarre, but
an Alabama
modern
fan
technology,
going to Auburn too, so
I guess at its best. Sue, we're going to go and take a break, right? We're going to kick to a break here. When we come back, more of our live show, Showdown in Tigertown here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Again, back here live at Jordan-Hare. We've got an interesting guest here, Daryl. Tell them about our guest here. She got Auburn on, but where's she from?
Look at this. Look at this sweatshirt. And ma'am, I'll tell you, can I see your driver's license? Tell me where you're from.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
What in the world are you doing with a Tiger shirt on like that?
Well, I get asked that a lot in Tuscaloosa. But it's not your God-given right to be an Alabama fan. If you live in Tuscaloosa, we can be an Auburn fan.
Can you go back and, maybe wear your sweatshirt, I don't know, a couple of days a week now?
Yeah, I think so. We wear them anyway, win or lose, but it's a lot more fun to wear them when you win.
Oh, man, what'd you think of the game?
People are good-natured about it. It was wonderful.
Let's talk to a couple more. We got some Tennessee Valley fans around here. Where are you from?
I'm from Tuscaloosa also, and Jim Fife's birthday was today. So was mine, and this is the greatest birthday present I could ever hope for.
There you go.
War Eagle.
All right, now you are from where?
Ardmore.
All right, you made the trip. You made many trips down this year?
Quite a bit, yes.
What's your name?
Ronnie Cornelius.
All right, Ronnie. Obviously, a lot of incentive to make that long trip down week by week. You believe from day one?
Oh, yes. I believe in Auburn Tigers all the way.
Yeah. You guys been down here the entire week or several days taking all this in?
I came down last night, got here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Your impression of the game, well, I guess we talked to, I can't remember who we talked to a while ago. Were you worried?
Yeah, there at first half I was a little bit worried, but we had, 21 minutes.
The field with an injury on the next play, backup quarterback Patrick Nix. 15 yards to Frank Sanders. 14-12 was the score at that point. And Auburn goes on to beat Alabama.
just kind of quivering. All right. Well, I tell you what, Randy Deason has compiled a montage, I guess if you want to call it that, a couple of minutes worth of a look back here at some of the sights and sounds of this second ever game here at Jordan-Hare, 22-14. Auburn coming out on top. For Darrell Green, Mark Thornhill, we'll say so long from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn.
Coach, good job. You played hard. Played real hard. Where you want to go? Stay right here. Let's go right here with our team. Just back them up. Get our team in here. Come on. Back everybody up. Back out.
Live from Jordan-Hare Stadium at Auburn University, 31 Sports presents the Alabama-Auburn postgame show.
And good evening again, everybody, and welcome live to Jordan-Hare Stadium here on the Auburn University campus, where this afternoon Auburn University pulled the nice upset, not a major upset, but a nice upset, 22-14. And it's nice to welcome you back to Jordan-Hare Stadium. This afternoon, unbeaten Auburn, although they were playing a little bit of an underdog role because it's hard to pull the unbeaten season off. That's why I'm in a little bit of a surprise, although we predicted Auburn to beat Alabama. And Alabama trying to upend Auburn's unbeaten season. Former Johnson Jaguar and tight end from the Auburn Tigers, Andy Fuller joins us, and this was an interesting football game in the fact that this was a football game, Andy, where all the emotion was going your way, but if you got swept up in that emotion, you weren't going to win the football game.
Yes, coming to the game, we had the pit rally yesterday. Coach Bowden was telling the crowd to stay in the game in case Alabama does get ahead, that we couldn't fall into the emotion and let it take over and affect us during the game. So we took the advantage of the crowd being here.
Now, when you came in today to the stadium, you came through the Tiger Walk, and then you came into your dressing room. Tell me a little bit, if you would, about the emotions, the feelings that your team had coming into this stadium with all the tens of thousands of people out to greet you.
Coming to the stadium, the emotions were real high seeing that many people, because that's the first time I've seen so many people at Tiger Walk, and it really got emotional to me seeing that many fans here already. And when we got in the locker room, everything was real loose and calm, and everybody said, well, let's go out there and take care of business.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. Then when we come back, we have 67 plays of highlights for you. We will come back to Jordan-Hare Stadium and bring you the first half highlights from Auburn, Alabama, with Auburn a 22-14 winner here on the Plains. We'll come back to Jordan-Hare Stadium at the loveliest village on the Plains and continue our post-game show in 1 minute. Beaten 11-0. First time in school history, Auburn has reached the 11-0 plateau. Let me bring you some updates on some players. If you listened to the football game on radio today, or were down at Tuscaloosa to watch the game, or by some stroke of luck you've already made it back within viewing range from here, let me give you some player updates before we get to the highlights. Jay Barker has torn a knee ligament. He is out for the season, and that is exactly what Coach Gene Stallings was concerned about this football game. So that will mean Jay Barker will be unavailable for the Florida SEC championship game. That certainly has to hurt Alabama. Palmer is still banged up, although not as badly as you know. He didn't practice much last week in preparation for this football game. Stan White, possibly a torn medial collateral ligament. Now, that's only possible. Stan was up and moving around, but then again, on that type of injury, you can get up and around and not have severe problems. But again, at least for Stan White, he doesn't have to do anything else the rest of the year and can be tended to. Andy Fuller, again, is alongside with us and will be documenting this football game. Had to be a lot of fun. Now, you get ready. You've dressed. You've come out from the locker room. You're getting ready for the kickoff. What is going through your folks' head at that particular moment?
Everybody said, well, it's time to take care of business. Now, all these people are here to see a football game. Alabama came for a tough fight, and so we said, well, we can't let everybody down, so we just came out here to play football.
All right, here we go. Let's go to the highlights from here at Jordan-Hare Stadium today. Oh, boy, I'll be getting them ready to play, Andy.
Yes, always he plays the key in the game real well.
All right, here's the kickoff. Down to the deuce. A little scary here. Picks up 16.
Yes, Coach Bowden was stressing that we had to be ready to stop David Palmer because he's real elusive.
And one of your buddies from Huntsville, Chris Anderson, right side.
Yes, Chris, he came out ready to play today, and he surprised me.
Now, here's a wrinkle that no one had seen from Alabama. The deuce fakes the end around, comes up, throws across the middle. Oh, nearly picked.
Yeah, I think the defense got that real well with Brian Robinson right there.
All right, here's the play in which you were injured today. We didn't mention your injury. What happened? You get a little bit of cutback on the block?
Yes, I guess somebody came back on my knee, and I just felt something pop, but I think I'll be all right.
White back to throw. Look at Royal. Bang. Dropped him down for the sack.
Royal, he's a real cocky player. Good player, though, but he's a real good player.
You like that. And Barker swings to the deuce. Watch the Shelling with the open field tackle.
I think Chris Shelling had a real good game for us today because he said he wanted to take over from Georgia.
Now, I like this. This is the naked bootleg called play, Andy.
Yeah, it's a favorite player of Coach Bowden to try to hit the tight end on there.
Then Richardson would be stacked up big time by Morris. Look at that. That's a pretty good tackling.
Yeah, that's Morris. He's a real good player. I remember playing against him in Austin.
Here's another good one. The Alabama D. We said Alabama had to have the game of the entire season for them. They played pretty well. This one, White swings it back outside, cuts it back up, turns, cuts, zips. That big chunky yardage, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a key play for us right there by Tony Richardson.
Then Etheridge on for a 56-yard field goal, woefully short, but Bama was playing with 12.
Yes, Coach Bowden said go out there and tell defense go out there and play hard.
White on the keeper, right up the middle. Bang, picks up 10. Then White stands in. We'll look for Richardson on the second and goal, and just one hopper, huh?
Yeah, that's one of the key plays that Coach Bowden likes to throw to get the fullback involved.
Here's the one surprised me. I thought this was an inbounds to Sanders.
Coach Bowden, everybody thought it was, and Frank came to the sideline and said he called it in bound, but the referee said he was stepped out.
Scott Etheridge on to make it 3-0 Auburn, and Auburn with the lead. Look at the crowd over there, huh?
The crowd played a real factor in the game.
Have you heard the crowd be so loud here?
I believe Florida game it was loud, but today, nothing like it.
There's Chris Anderson, then Barker would stand in, go for his favorite receiver, but the deuce didn't hurt you today, did he?
No, David Palmer really didn't play a key factor in today's game, but even though he's there, you got to be ready for him to do anything.
Into the first quarter, and Auburn has the 3-0 lead. To the second, Alabama, Barker connects with Johnson on the quick pump, swings it out left, looks back. Now there's a guy on the move, and a nice play.
Yeah, that was a real good play by Jay Barker, scrambling, getting away, but the defense played real well.
All right, then Jay is going to go deep. Pumps, sets, looks, throws to the end zone, and over the head. That'd have been 6.
Yeah, that'd have been a key play if they would have caught that.
Here's your USA Today best player in America '91, and Steve Davis finally showing a little of his potential, isn't he, Andy?
Yeah, Steve is coming in well in the season with the game program.
Then stand back, looks for Bailey. The slant.
That was a great catch by Thomas, keeping his eyes on the ball and taking the lick.
I like this play right here. I like the shuttle pass.
Yeah, that's one of Coach Bowden's favorite plays, trying to get the defense to drop back on pass and hand it off to the running back.
This one looked like it might develop, but Royal was there for a 2-yard sack. Then it goes over to Alabama, and Anderson swings it out. He'll pick up 8, but Chris re-injured that ankle a little bit here.
Yes, I didn't know he got hurt, but because he really didn't show that they're running that football.
Here you go, 63 yards gone.
The coaches told everybody, you got to be ready for Kevin Lee because he's a real speedster, and when you got to run that in, I guess everybody said, well, a touchdown.
7-3 Bama at the time to Auburn. White drops, looks for Bailey. I'm going to tell you.
That's a real great
was
catch.
Was he inbounds?
Yes, he was inbound.
All right. Then Terry Daniels. We talked as our key to the game, Andy, which you didn't see in the pregame show. Auburn had to win the special teams. They did a great job.
That was one of the factors Coach Bowden talked about, and we stressed during the week is special teams and stopping David Palmer.
Then Barker in his own end zone. Damon Primus drops him for the sack. It's 7-5 Alabama.
That made Damon feel real good because Damon is a senior leaving, and he wanted to do something great for his last game.
Next series, down again goes Barker. Is that Darrell Blackburn, isn't it?
Yes,
from up home?
Yeah, it surprised me to see Darrell in the game, and I had to block him a couple of times. It was pretty rough on him, but I guess he took it easy on him.
All right, we move forward to a couple of series. As you see the draw right there by Stan. That was a design play.
Yeah, that was one of Coach Bowden put that in this week, the little wrinkle that we put in.
How about this launch by Deal?
He surprised me when I saw that. I believe it surprised Tomlin because Tomlin had to run back like extra 15 yards to go back to get the football.
68 yards on the punt. Then Davis, another good D stand by Alabama. Rogers comes in right here. That is a tough open field tackle on a potential All-America player. Then Barker stands in. This was one of his finest passes of the day to Lee.
Yeah, it was a great pass, and he was right there. That was a good open field tackle by Calvin Jackson.
And here's our buddy from Huntsville. Watch him slant left. Chris Anderson in the end zone. 14-5 Alabama. Let's look at it one more time, I believe. We'll get to see Chris running the football. Nope, didn't have the replay. Okay, then Bostic kicks it outside for 14.
Yeah, James Bostic came to the hub and said, everybody, let's just block, and I will get you all the yardage. And he did. He came through for that.
Now, this is a 29-yard play. It's 14 to Sanders, but we picked up, Auburn University picks up 15 on a penalty.
Yeah, that's a real play that we like. That's a real good play. Coach Bowden likes to get the ball to Frank because Frank probably has the best hands on the team.
Coaches on the sidelines, you know, they both had to be worried about their game plans at this point. Then White back, last play of the half, throws to the end zone on the Hail Mary. About 400 people there, but wasn't able to come up with it. It's 14-5, Alabama at the half. Now, 14-5. Auburn was the favorite coming into this football game, but we talked about some of the truth about a little bit being an underdog, and you'll know what I mean by that because it's tough to complete an 11-0 season and do that unbeaten. So you go into the locker room trailing. What was the mood in the locker room? I know that Coach Bowden is a wonderful motivator. What was the feeling?
Well, the feeling going into the locker room, everybody's attitude was still high because everybody said, well, we've been down before Florida, a couple games like that, we've been down. So everybody was just saying, just go back, we got 30 minutes to play football, just go out there, do what you got to do, and we will come out victorious.
Was there really, you mentioned everybody was confident. Was it a quiet confidence where it was a little rowdy? Was there some talking going on, some speeches made? What happened?
Well, people just got up and said, y'all know what we got to do. We're 10-0 right now. We want to be 11-0 and probably have a shot at the national championship. We got to come back out here and play Auburn football, and that's what we had to do.
Wild and woolly second half of play from Jordan-Hare Stadium. We will come back, show you second half highlights right after this, live from Jordan-Hare Stadium. Hope you'll stay with us. And we welcome you back to Jordan-Hare Stadium tonight, a victorious Jordan-Hare Stadium for Auburn football fans. The victory this afternoon over the Alabama Crimson Tide. We welcome you back here, and we hope you're enjoying our post-game show. We've already shown you first half highlights. Andy Fuller joins us. Andy, of course, the former tight end for the Johnson Jags and now for the Auburn Tigers. All right, we talked a little bit about what Coach said in the halftime. Right before you come out, anything special that you did before you hit the field today?
Nothing. We just did the same thing that we normally do, coming onto the field, just being relaxed, calm, just say, let's go ahead and play Auburn football, get it back to the winning ways, and that's what we've been doing the last 11 games.
Promised you a wild and woolly second half. Here we go. Let me show you the second half highlights as we'll open up, and Coach Bowden on the sideline trailing in this one at halftime. Alabama with the football, Chris Anderson picks up 10.
Chris Anderson really showed being a good football player. They running that football.
Willie Whitehead makes a good play right here for the Blue.
Yes, Willie has really been coming into his own the last couple of games, and I think I'm real proud of him.
And then Anthony Harris one time for the Auburn faithful.
Yeah,
Parker stood in the pocket all day. That's a coverage sack.
Yeah, Anthony Harris, he's just been playing real well all season.
Here's one more time, and you can see Barker pumps, looks, stands in the pocket, and bang.
And he really didn't take his eyes off him when he saw that pump. He just came through and sacked.
Alabama to punt. Bailey is back to receive. This is a sweet one.
Yes, Thomas. I thought Thomas was about to break it here, but the kicker, if the kicker wasn't there, I think he would have went all the way.
Listen, that's a super tackle by Deal too. All right, Stan White then. The problems. Willie Gaston on the long 20-yard out. Gaston picks it off in front of the Auburn bench.
Willie Gaston, he played a real good game, but.
There's Coach Stallings on the sideline, then Stan White. Now, we talked in our pregame show about having Stan mix the pass with a run. Good job today.
Stan played a good game today. He showed a great senior leadership going out his last game of the season. He wanted to just go play.
Then looking for Frank Sanders on the play action, swinging it out. Nice pickup.
That's one of Stan's favorite receivers going to Frank.
Now, on this play, here's where Stan gets injured. I don't know if you were able to see that, but I'm sure there's Stan being taken off.
I believe everybody got a little down, but knowing that we had Patrick Nix come in the game, everybody was relaxed.
All right, Rainbow City's Patrick Nix. What do you do first play? Throw the bomb! My goodness, to Frank Sanders.
That was a great catch by Frank.
14-12, Alabama leading. It was some blown coverage there. James Bostic then for 13.
James Bostic really came to his own in that fourth quarter.
All right, then Nix looks back one more time to his touchdown combo. Will pick up 8 yards to Patrick Nix.
Frank had a great game today.
Then Bostic, who I thought played one of his better football games, getting the runs when he had to today.
Yes, JB, when it was crunch time, JB said he wanted the ball, and they gave it to him. He came through for it.
Jeremy Nunley, though, would have no more.
Jeremy Nunley, he's a real quick guy for his size.
That was the end of the third, 14-12 Alabama. Etheridge on and early on in the fourth for a 26-yard shorty. It's up, it's good. Auburn with the lead, 15-14. You would not relinquish that lead.
No, everybody on the sideline was saying, well, let's keep it up. We got 15 more minutes and we can come through.
On the ensuing kickoff, the deuce for 15 yards.
He took a hard lick right there by Harold Morrow, but then everybody else came back and hit him. And it really scared me to see him get loose like this.
All right, Barker back to pass. Pumps, looks, throws across the middle. Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson had a great season all year. I believe he's leading. I believe he's second leading the SEC in interceptions.
Behind Langham, huh?
Yeah.
Auburn fans loving it. Sherwin Williams, little 4-yard popper.
Yes, I believe everybody was keen on Sherman and Chris when they got in the backfield.
Here we go. Fourth down, deep Alabama goes for it. Terrence Lynch is denied. Then Auburn takes over on downs. Bostic for 11 to the 3.
There's another great run by James Bostic.
All right, so he says, give it to me, but Willie Gaston says,
Willie Gaston, he really played a great game, coming through with some big key tackles.
Bostic, watch this on the fake around the left side, and rejected right there by Gaston and Lemansky Hall.
I don't believe there was really a fake. I believe it was a handle on a...
You think so?
Yeah. But we really hadn't planned a fake field goal.
That's a 22-yard pickup. That's it, because it looked to us like it might have been somebody called fire. Then McGee intercepts the Barker bomb.
Teams have really been trying to pick on Dale, and Dale just came through with a big play right there.
Here it is.
JB just made a great run right there, just cutting back right there, breaking tackles. Now he wasn't going to be denied getting in that end zone because he knew it was at stake.
70 yards. Auburn 22, Bama 14. Jay Barker would go back to pass. This would be an incomplete pass, but here is where he ends up hurt. You saw the knee twist around right there, and Barker would be helped from the field, and Coach Gene Stallings would come out, as most coaches do, worried about their injured players. And then that would be the way this football game would end, with a 22-14 victory. Look at that in the middle. Terry Bowden with Pat Dye. A very classy move by a couple of pretty classy gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a real nice sight to see Coach Bowden and Coach Dye being together like that after this win.
22-14. A lot of folks predicted a little closer. A lot of folks predicted, though, that Auburn would win. I saw you running around the football field, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but you did the victory lap all the way around the field. It was fun, wasn't it?
It was real fun to run around here to give a knowledge to these great fans we have here, because I believe the 11-0 record, we're going to share it with them, too, because they deserve it, because the fans, without the fans, we wouldn't be here.
We'll come back. We will wrap up from Jordan-Hare Stadium. We'll be joined for some post-game analysis by Andy Fuller. We'll be back in a minute. And we welcome you back to Jordan-Hare Stadium. The 50-yard line logo was pretty good looking, as you saw last night for the pregame show. A little of the luster worn off by the hordes of folks that piled down on the field. Andy Fuller still joining us here in our postgame show, live from Jordan-Hare Stadium. We're going to show some folks, Andy, some of the postgame, but when you were standing there watching Terry Bowden and Pat Dye address the media, the masses, the fans, that's a very emotional moment, isn't it?
It was real emotional to see Coach Dye and Coach Bowden there in the center talking about, just reminiscing about everything, and especially enjoying this big win that we had. But it was really emotional to see them two together.
All right, first we're going to hear from the Auburn faithful.
The game went exactly like I wanted it to go and hoped it would go, but thought it wasn't going to go. We played conservative. I was hoping that we would play conservative. I felt like with their outstanding coaching staff and their defensive scheme that we would make a mistake, get ourselves in trouble early. So I was going to be conservative, try to keep it very close and get it into the fourth quarter.
Told me just throw it up to Frank. And when I got out there, I looked Frank straight in the eye and I said, Frank, just go catch it. I'm going to put it out there. You just go catch it. Me and Frank came in together. I knew, well, I didn't have any doubt in the world Frank would catch it.
As far as the season goes, you know, it's great to be a part of 11. I mean, what can you say, 11-0? And you know, I'll tell you one thing, and you can quote me. If at the end of all the bowl games and everything, if we are the only unbeaten team in the nation, untied, unbeaten, anything, we deserve a chance to be a shot at being the national champions.
Yeah, I would say that the defense really hunkered down after the halftime. We allowed Alabama several big plays, and we figured out what they were doing and what we were doing wrong, and we just reversed that and just went back in the second half and took care of business.
We're 11-0, and it proved that we're the best team in the SEC.
How about best team in the country, Thomas?
Well, I don't know about the best team in the country. You know, I feel that we're the best team in the SEC.
Well, it's great. It's great to be 11-0. You know, I've never been in Alabama since I've been in my since I've been here at Auburn. And it just feels great. I've never felt the feeling of this, and the fans are, you know, very excited. I'm very excited. The team is very excited, and I'm just happy for everyone.
Well, I think we had to come out fired up. We had to set the tone for the rest of the game, and I believe we did. Now, tell me what you adjusted. What adjustments did you make in the second half?
We didn't make any adjustments. We just had it. We were playing good football in the first half. It was just they got a lucky trick play and all that, and then they broke. Near the end of the half they scored, so it wasn't much change during halftime.
Alabama comes a-courting 2 times to Jordan-Hare Stadium. 1989, 1993, goes away twice with losses. You were a young pup back at Johnson the first time the football game transpired. At that time, I know that you were being recruited by a lot of people, but did you have any emotions toward Auburn? What did you think of that football game in '89?
I think that was a real big game in '89 because I had James Willis was here. And that was a real big game, and I was really an Auburn fan growing up. Just getting a chance to come here makes me real happy. And also playing the Iron Bowl.
And then today, now for the second time, you have beaten Alabama at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's special too.
It's real special to come here in Auburn. We weren't going to let them come here and beat us in our own home. And that was the thing we were stressing all week. Do not let Alabama come here and beat us. And so we said, well, just step it up an extra notch so we can just come out victorious.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. We'll come back and hear from Gene Stallings and Alabama players. Hope you'll stay with us. We'll continue our live special from Jordan-Hare Stadium in 1 minute. And we welcome you back to Jordan-Hare Stadium here on the campus of Auburn University, where this afternoon, Auburn upends Alabama in a huge victory for this football program. For the first time since, I guess, 1957, Andy Fuller, Auburn is unbeaten, first 11-0 season. Last time you did this and won the national championship, Auburn was on probation as well.
Yes, Coach Brown was telling us that during the week that we can make history by going 11-0 because no team has ever won 11-0 here in Auburn. And we can also win the national championship on probation, so that's what we're waiting for after the season and everything, see how everything works out for us.
All right, now for the other side of post-game. One crew spent the afternoon on the Alabama sidelines. Let's hear from Bama coach Gene Stallings and his players.
We got a number of guys that were sort of injured. I think the 4th and 10 pass obviously hurt us, and the long run obviously hurt us. Other than that, we struggled and they struggled part of the time. It was a good, tough ball game.
Penalties that killed us on the drives that we had going. We'd end up with a holding call or an offsides or something like that. We just never could recover from it.
Things didn't work out our way. We didn't make the plays. We needed to make the plays. That's the bottom line, And I just want to take my hat off to Auburn. They played a hard-fought game. I think we played hard too, just in make the play. They made the plays. We didn't. That's the deciding factor in the game.
What about the?
All right, of course, that was Chris Anderson, one of all our friends from Huntsville. I know that people would think that you don't socialize with Alabama or you don't socialize with former players, but you all get along. I mean, you may come out here and play today, but you're friends through and through.
Yeah, I went up to Chris and Daryl after the game and gave him a hug and everything. Said they had a great team, and I wish them well to the rest of the season.
All right, now, one final question before we'll wrap it up from here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. When Coach Bowden came back in, and the first time he got to address the players after the game, what did he say to you?
He just told us, fellas, I'm real proud of you. You played a real good game, and you had a great year. Let's just celebrate it, have a good time and everything, and just get ready for next year.
Well, Andy, I certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us. You want to say hi to the folks back home?
Yeah, I want to tell everybody hi, and I'll be home probably Tuesday to celebrate my victory over Alabama, so I'll see y'all then.
Now, that was worth the price of admission, wasn't it?
Yes.
Andy, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, we thank our entire crew and cast that has helped us put on all of our specials here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. A lot of folks have gone into bringing this to you. And for Jeff Spiegel, David Lamb, Chris Peace, who joined us this morning, I certainly appreciate you being with us all throughout our coverage of Auburn versus Alabama. Auburn, the big victory today, unbeaten in 1993. I'm Gus Hergert. Thanks for joining us here from Jordan-Hare Stadium. Good night.
Of the possible 62 first-place votes. But the Huskers only hold an 84-point lead in the coaches' poll over Florida State, which grabbed 11 first-place votes. Unbeaten West Virginia vaults from 6 to 3 and earns 7 first-place votes along the way. And the Mountaineers just missed out on being ranked second. They are only 11 poll points behind the Seminoles. Notre Dame drops to 4, but still managed to secure the final first-place vote. The Irish are 91 points behind West Virginia. And Tennessee, with its impressive 48-0 blowout of Kentucky, jumps 2 places to crack the top 5.
Auburn started this season with a 2-year NCAA probation. On the heels of 2 mediocre seasons, Terry Bowden was an unknown major college coaching entity with a well-known name. And now he and his team have made a name for themselves with the first 11-0 season in school history, completing a dream season with a win over arch-rival Alabama yesterday. What a first season for that man, new Auburn coach Terry Bowden. But here goes Alabama's Chris Anderson. The 19-yard touchdown run put Alabama up 14-5 in the second quarter. Still 14-5 in the third when Patrick Nix' first throw of the game, a 4th down strike to Frank Sanders for the touchdown. Nix in for the injured Stan White. Auburn up by 1 on the 4th when Alabama picked off by Del McGee, stopping that drive and setting the scene for James Bostic, who busts through 70 yards. No one's going to get him. The touchdown put Auburn ahead to stay. 22-14, the final. Auburn completes its first 11-0 season.
And of course, going hand in hand with Auburn's perfect season is the fact that Terry Bowden becomes the first man in history to go 11-0 in his first season as a major college coach. He's also the first Auburn coach to beat Alabama in his first try since 1904. And we're happy to have Terry with us now. And Coach, what does the perfect season mean to you?
Well, I think after Alabama, which is the most unbelievable rivalry I've ever been a part of. I've never even been to an Auburn-Alabama game before this one. It's the most, and I've been at a lot of big rivalries. It's the biggest game I've ever been a part of. And you know, when I was 10-0, I think I saved my career, but I hadn't even saved my job here yet. But after Saturday, it was a special win for all of us here at Auburn.
Well, conceivably, Auburn could win the national title in the Associated Press poll, but you're ineligible in the coaches poll because of the NCAA probation. Do you think that's unfair?
Well, I think possibly. I don't think it's unfair. I think that's the way the rules go. I think everyone has to set their standards and vote accordingly. And according to the CNN or the coaches poll, they're not allowed to consider us. The AP, on the other hand, they don't have that as part of their rules, and I think they should vote us. If we're the only undefeated team after the bowl games, then I think they should vote us number 1 if they think our schedule is tough enough to put us as one of the top teams, because I don't think you can look at just a record. You got to look at a schedule too.
And if that's the case, if we do have a split national championship, it's possible that you can share it with your dad. That would be pretty interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's even close that anybody plays the schedule that he has down there with the kickoff class with Kansas all the way through with the non-conference teams that they chose to play. We're looking for the only undefeated team. That's our only hope. And I'd love to see maybe a split national championship, maybe.
In the big picture, especially after what happened yesterday, Terry, who would get your vote as the #1 team right now?
Well, I think Florida State's the #1 team right now because of who they played. They lost to Notre Dame at Notre Dame, but they have played the toughest schedule. And I think it's going to be close, but there's still a game to play. Everybody's got somebody else. I think West Virginia's got Boston College. Florida State's got Florida. I'm going to tell you, going down there and playing Florida, it isn't over yet. And I've been down there a lot of times with Florida State. That's going to be as tough a game as you'll possibly play. So we got another week to talk about it.
Well, let's get back to the win over Bama, because as you mentioned, it was a tremendous one and an emotional one. You rallied to score 17 unanswered points and win. Unfortunately, that's it. No bowl, no nothing at the end of the rainbow. What do you tell your guys after the game in that situation?
Well, I'm going to tell them what every other Auburn person's tell them, that, you know, they're national champions in Auburn's eyes. These fellows done something that no one's ever done. No team in the history of Auburn has won 11 games in a season. And I told them, I said, very few people have an opportunity to put a label on themselves, the label greatness or the label the best ever. And it's something they're going to appreciate the rest of their lives, and it's going to change their lives and what they mean to this university. So they have already established a very special place in the hearts of Auburn University with what happened on Saturday, and I can't give them any more than what they gave themselves.
And Coach, what we've seen over the past couple weeks in the Bowl Coalition, some coaches say it's a perfect example why Division 1A needs a playoff. You came from Division 1AA, which has one, so do you feel it could work at the 1A level?
Oh, yeah, it could work. I was in the NEI playoffs, the Division 3 playoffs, the 1AA playoffs. I love the playoffs. And I know coaches like my father, there's been so much loyalty to the Bowls because the Bowls have been so good to college football. Maybe we have to build them into the equation somehow. But people say too many games, 13 or 14 games. I've never seen a winning season where the season goes too long. It's always short when you're winning. I think we should have one and could have one, whether it be 8. I've been in an 8-game playoff. I've been in a 16-game playoff. They work, and I enjoy it.
Well, it's certainly something for Division 1A, the powers that be, to kick around. Coach, best of luck to you the rest of the way. Your season's over, but it was a great one, and a happy Thanksgiving coming up next week.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, he
Terry
spends the
Bowden.
rest of it with his fingers crossed, right?
Right, absolutely. But at least he said there's a chance of a split for him, and that's all Auburn can hope for.
There certainly is, and he said the talk will continue for another couple of weeks. It may not be over after New Year's Day.
Right.
Well, we've got plenty of football.
3 spots into the 8-hole. Before the Badgers, though, come Florida and Texas A&M in a tie for 6th. The Gators win big, and the Aggies thump TCU 59-3. They'll play Texas Thursday for the Southwest Conference title. Meanwhile, Miami's loss to West Virginia cost the Hurricanes 5 spots. They're down to 9, and Ohio State made a similar slide after its shutout at the hands of Michigan.
Now to 11 through 15, Penn State up 1 spot to 11. It beat Northwestern 43-21, and Northwestern had beaten BC back in week 2. And there's Boston College, 8 straight wins, including that big one over Notre Dame yesterday, and the Eagles up only 4 places to number 12. Idle North Carolina stays at number 13. Rose Bowl bound UCLA up 1 to 14, and Idle Oklahoma will go to Nebraska Friday. They're number 15. That's down 1 spot from a week ago.
And now we're to teams 16 through 20. That's where we find Colorado, still locked into the 18th spot. Arizona was idle, but still managed to climb a notch. Alabama was one of the biggest free-fallers, losing 7 pole positions after its loss to Auburn. The Tide is ranked 17th. Kansas State had to rally for survival, winning on an 80-yard touchdown drive in the final minute. The Cats are 19th. And Virginia Tech up 3 and into the top 20 with its 2017 win over rival Virginia that knocked the Cavaliers out of the poll.
Indiana beat Purdue 24-17, stays 21. Look who's back. Michigan with the win over Ohio State. Clemson up 2 to 23, beating South Carolina 16-13. Idle Michigan State stays 24, and Southern Cal down 6 to 25.
It's just funny. I mean, you know, I've been in this game for 41 years, and man, I ain't ever gone undefeated. You know, we went undefeated 1 year, then got beat in the bowl. But I mean, that is something, and for it to happen to Terry, it's just unbelievable.
You're not supposed to show up your dad, especially in your first season. Joining us now from Tallahassee, from Mom and Dad's house, is Terry Bowden. Terry, congratulations on a great year and surviving a year in the athletic dorm with 3 toddlers. Politicking. Well, we've heard it from Florida State, we've heard it from West Virginia and Nebraska. From an Auburn point of view, a lot of your fans think your team deserves consideration in the AP poll. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, if we're looking at the record and what we've done, we're at 11-0. We're as good as anybody else out there, and so you'd have to get this consideration. But again, all we can do is what we did that made us successful this year. Don't worry about things we can't control. We played the best we could. We won a lot of ball games, and we're excited just to be considered, and we'll let the rest of the season play itself out.
Now, from an Auburn point of view, a Florida victory helps the cause today, but can you really root against your father in this ball game?
You know, I found out something this weekend. I can't root against my dad, and I never think I ever will. I can't root against my alma mater. That's where I played, West Virginia, and that means a lot to me, too. So I think I'd just as soon let the games go, and whoever wins, wins, and there's too many fine football teams for us to get into arguments about which guy deserves this and which guy deserves that.
Terry, your father did you a favor by allowing your staff members to visit Tallahassee before the Florida game, and he gave you some tips. Obviously, it helped you win. How are you going to try to return that favor to your father?
Well, you know, we set up yesterday morning and watched film together a good bit. But, you know, their styles are a little bit different than Auburn. We were very basic. We did not have the explosive people at the positions he has. Couldn't give him a lot of help as far as the things that we were doing. So he's kind of on his own this time.
Terry, you're hot in the recruiting battles right now. You've got 1 year left on probation at Auburn. What's your sales pitch to the kids, and are they buying it right now?
Well, I think so. I think we're selling the future, an opportunity for them. We're going to be on TV next year, and we're going to be on TV a lot. And I think that's important to these young men. We've got 1 more year where we can't go to a bowl game, but I think these fellas see that they want to be a part of a program that's going to be there for them, where it's exciting, where it's a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and where they're going to win. And right now, I think we proved all of those things.
Terry, you're sitting on top of the world right now, but you know how quickly that can change. Next year, a much tougher schedule, some games on the road. In fact, your dad said you may have started out too well. There's nowhere to go but down.
Well, you know, I never claimed to be the smartest coach in the world, but, you know, if you're going to build for the future, and at Auburn, that's what we're talking about, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, if you're going to sell recruits on our school about our future, you have an undefeated season. They want to come to a place where there's clear direction, where you're winning. I think we made a statement this year that we're heading in the right direction. So, all in all, I think 11-0 was the best thing that could have happened to Auburn.
All right, congratulations again. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the game, if that's possible.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about Auburn in the poll situation now. How do you see a team that is on probation, can't be in the coaches poll, but can win the Writers' National Championship?
Well, Chris, I have nothing against Auburn or Washington or teams on probation, but I don't think it's fair for a team that's on probation to be in any polls. I know people say it's not fair, but somebody has to pay the price for rules violations, and somebody has to do it sooner or later and be held accountable.
Yeah, but you don't make it these guys right now. There needs to be a new system because Auburn should be in the polls. They should count towards the polls, and if they win the national championship, it should be awarded to them. If Alabama or Florida had beaten Auburn, then it certainly would have helped to improve those teams' rankings in the polls. Therefore, give it to Auburn. Let them be there.
Auburn took a major hit with West Virginia and Nebraska winning. As the only undefeated, they had a real case to make. I don't think they do now. And they should not be in the bowl poll because they're not eligible for a bowl.
It's a good thing maybe you're on probation because you're at your dad's house. Maybe they wouldn't let you in there next year if you're not on probation. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
We have to ask you, because as you look at the scenarios, there is a possibility that your team could end up ranked #1 in the AP poll. But you need your dad to lose at some point. Does that mean that you sit at home today rooting against your dad, or maybe on New Year's Day as well?
I can't do it. I think if I ever had to root against my family to win a football game, I'm going to get out of the business. Whether I cheer for them to win or lose is not going to affect the outcome of that game. Steve Spurrier, the Gators, and the Swamp's going to make the difference there.
Take a look at your season this year. You go into Auburn, the team's on probation, they're coming off a losing season, the expectations aren't high. Somehow you reel off 11 consecutive victories. Can you recap it some for us?
Well, it started with the first game. We played Ole Miss, a team that beat us 45-21 last year. If you win that game, I think your players start to feel that they can win games again, that they have confidence again, that they can beat teams that beat them last year. With no TV and no bowl possibility, we took them one at a time. And then the Florida game, #7, was the first one. We beat a team that was heavily favored. After that, I think everybody on our team felt that if we played that way, we could go undefeated.
With the fact that you are on probation and you look at the fact that you've had a terrific season, is there any consideration in your mind thinking of what might have been if you had a chance to play for the national championship?
I think now that the season's over, of course, we look back and say what might have been. But, you know, we were successful this year by not worrying about things we could not control. And this is another thing we can't control. You know, I want these teams to play as good as they play. And in the final analysis, if people determine that Auburn, with their record and the way we played, and maybe the only undefeated team left, if they choose us #1, we'll take it. But we haven't worried about things like that all season, and we're not going to worry about them now.